Welcome to Litbit channel. Today we will see comedy and its nature. Let's be going to explore the wonderful world of comedy. Comedy has its roots in ancient times and has been shaped by classical writers like Aristophanes, Plautus, Terence. These early works laid the foundations for later comic traditions, influencing figures such as Menander, Molière, Shakespeare, and Ben Jonson. Now let's compare a comedy with tragedy. While tragedy has been extensively studied since Aristotle era, comedy has received comparatively less critical attention. Often regarded as a form of light entertainment, comedy is seen as a means to provide relief from life's serious concerns. So, what's the primary aim of comedy? Simply put, comedy aims to provide laughter and provide contrast to life's solemn moments due to its light-hearted nature. Some scholars consider it a lesser art form compared to the gravitas of tragedy. Let's take a look at Aristotle's view on comedy. In his Poetics, Aristotle devotes significant attention to tragedy but provides only a brief discussion of comedy. His explorations of comedy remains minimal and less detailed than his analysis of tragedy. According to Aristotle, comedy deals with the character of a lesser or lower type, focusing not on moral corruptions but on their ridiculous or laughable traits. The ridiculous falls within the category of the ugly, encompassing accept that amuse without causing harm. In recent times, critics like George Meredith and Henry Bergson have brought renewed attention to the study of comedy, examining its nature and functions in ways that have shaped modern discussions. Meredith emphasized that comedy appeals to the intellect rather than relying on physical humor. He says comedy as a tool to critique societal flaws, exposing folly and vice with detachment and without anger and contempt. Meredith argues that laughter in comedy should be polite, impersonal, and closer to a smile than a loud laugh. He wants that tradition and moral zeal reduce comedy to satire, advocating for a detached critique of vice. While Meredith admires Shakespeare's ability to evoke both intellectual and emotional laughter, he critiques Shakespeare's blending of these elements as exceeding Meredith's narrow definitions of comedy. Bergson positions on laughter in comedy. Bergson argues that laughter in comedy appeals solely to intelligence, excluding emotional or sympathetic elements. It is a rational response rather than an emotional reaction. Ferguson suggests that comedy focus on individuals or situations deviating from social norms or habits. Laughter arises when these deviations appears out of place within social context. In purpose of laughter for Bergson, laughter serves a corrective purpose, functioning as society's ways of reforming behavior that strays from accepted social absence of benevolence in laughter. Asserts that laughter in comedy is neither kind nor sympathetic. It reflects a society detached response to who unconsciously isolate themselves through non-conforming action. Bergson sees laughter as a mechanism for society to avenge itself against derivations from norms. To be effective, to behave, laughter must be free of sympathy, as kindness would undermine its corrective purpose. In overall perspective, both Meredith and Bergson view comedy as a social tool. They emphasize that laughter is not about joy or connections, but about enforcing conformity to societal expectation. Let's we see criticism on Bergson. Executions of Shakespearean comedy. Bergson's focus on vanity, self-love, and affections as the basis for comedy excludes much of English comedy, particularly Shakespeare's works, which do not align with his frame. Comparison with Molière. Bergson's comic theory is influenced by the classical French stage Molière's comedies of types contrasting sharply with Shakespeare bordered and more nuanced comedic style. Laughter defined by Bergson. While Bergson sees laughter as devoid of feelings or sympathy, this view fails to account for the affectionate and warm laughter often found in Shakespearean comedy. In Shakespeare's works, laughter often reflects kindness, joy, and acceptance, encouraging audience to embrace characters as they are rather than aiming to correct their flaws. Difference in characterization. Unlike the type in Bergson's framework, Shakespeare characters are multidimensional, relatable individuals who transcend their roles and invite emotional and historical connection. Narrow scope of Bergson's view. Bergson's narrow perspective excludes the joyous, sympathetic laughter of Shakespearean comedy, which prioritizes delight over the social responsibility emphasized in classical works like Ben Jonson. The nature of Shakespearean laughter. Shakespeare's laughter, while sometimes seen as irresponsible, offers profound joy and provides an escape from the life challenge addressing universal humor. Enduring appeal of Shakespearean comedy. Why Shakespeare's comedies are still so popular today? The enduring joys of Shakespearean comedy shows us that laughter can do more than just correct social behavior. It can bring us happiness and relieves fulfilling deeper human distress. In conclusion part, two views of comedy is there. When we think about comedy, there are two main ways to approach it. On one hand, we have comedy that prioritizes fun and laughter. On other hand, we have comedy that focus on corrections, and let's explore these two views further. English Shakespearean view. The English or Shakespearean approach to comedy emphasizes entertainment and light-hearted amusement. This type of comedy laughter as the ultimate goal, often using humor to bring people together and creates a sense of joy. In contrast, the classical or French perspective treats comedy as a tool for correction. This type of comedy uses humor to highlight social deviation, vanity, and affections, encouraging reforms and self awareness. Think of it like a gentle to help people improve themselves. Now, you might be wondering how corrective comedy differs from satire. The key difference lies in the tone. Corrective comedy avoids anger or moral outrage, instead offering a thoughtful and impersonal critique of society. Satire, on the other hand, often uses irony, sarcasm, and ridicule to criticize societal norms. Then, Shakespearean intermingling of styles. Shakespeare was a master of blending different styles. He combined joyful laughter with reflective movements, delivering both entertainment and insight. This unique blend of styles has contributed to the timeless appeal of his comedies. In conclusion part, Shakespeare's comedies have stood the test of times because they merge the corrective and entertaining elements of comedy. By doing so, Shakespeare creates a unique style that engaging both the heart and the mind, offering us a rich and rewarding theoretical experience. Thank you viewers. Thanks for watching this video.